As I was saying earlier, my name is Susan Amorose, and I have the honor of kicking off what is now known as the Heiress online studio. So we are planning to provide you with useful content during a time where people are really discovering and rediscovering things about themselves, their own personal goals, and goals for their lifestyles. And that's what makes this a real honor for me to share with you things that I have been able to discover for myself that support my own sense of health and well being. That said, Green Heiress Online Studio is part of Green Heiress Holistic Health. We're located in both Aspinwall and Highland Park in terms of our physical spaces. And now we're lucky to be here online with you. I want to share with everybody that um, for all who participated and signed up with me today, I have a special offer of a free 30-minute session. So please make sure that you follow up with me at susan@greenheiressholistic.com, or you can find me at my website also, or susan@susan-amorose.com. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about some methods. And these methods or these techniques are steeped in the tradition of Chinese medical or clinical, you will hear it referred to as Qigong. Now, what does that mean? For those of you who are familiar, and I see some of my students in the audience today, you'll have to sit through an explanation. But for those of you who are not, don't be intimidated. What Qigong is a thousands-year-old system. And many people may be familiar with one of the arms or one of the outgrowths of Qigong, which is Tai Chi. And that picked up a lot of traction in the Western Hemisphere and very much so in the United States. But Qigong is really the granddaddy of all of that. And I believe that it has had a really rich and enticing history and has been integrated into many practices, both in the Far East and West, because it's very practical. Now, if I were to tell people that I specialize in Qigong and I use it therapeutically in clinical sessions, I teach studio classes so that people can learn this moving meditation that coordinates breath along with physical movement and intention, they may be enticed or interested. But what if I tell you that this practice actually allows you to step into your personal power? What does that mean? It certainly sounds like a good thing. It's an attractive idea. But stepping into your personal power means that you find yourself in the center. You find yourself in a place of stability, which allows you to flow with the forces all around you and about you. And I see a couple of you nodding. A couple of you know what that feels like, right? The interesting thing is this does not have to be an experience exclusive to a studio or the first 15 or 20 minutes of your day. This can be the way you experience your life. Yes, there are things that happen and they challenge us. They grab our attention. Qigong is all about doing something with that attention. Feeling the pinch, the stress, or even the enjoyment of a vibration is something we all know because we're human. But the next piece that I want to introduce you to is, what do we do with that? When we find ourselves feeling something, I will tell you what most people do. They begin to process it up here. Their brains begin to engage it, and they try to figure it out. These sensory portals that we have, what we see and what we hear and what we taste, what we feel, they're very important. And they're nothing that should ever try to be ignored. They're part of our, what I call in my industry, embodiment, right? It's part of being human. As a matter of fact, it's part of being alive on this earth plane. We feel it. But what's very popular, particularly, I would say, in modern life, is we don't feel too long. We want to shift that feeling, especially if it's one that isn't desired. And what do we use to shift that feeling? We use our brain. So therefore, we're really not allowing that sensation to flow to us or through us. We're interrupting that flow of vibration. Because why? We can. That's how incredibly powerful we are as humans. We can interrupt the flow of something. And here's another word for you: we can block. Even when we don't want to be blocked. And the greatest thing we can do, that everyone as a society has realized abruptly, is we can distract ourselves. We can truly allow ourselves to shift away from that feeling state, from what is germane to that feeling state, from that vibe, from that environment. And because we're at home so much, we'll go ahead and say that container we find ourselves in. That's how powerful the mind is. An interesting thing about the ancients is they actually understood that we have intelligence within the body that goes beyond this cognitive aspect, this transmitter, receiver, processor. When we think about intuition or gut knowing, when we think about what the heart and only the heart knows, we are as humans acknowledging that there are centers within the body that are highly intelligent and very capable. And because of this, they must be attuned to. They must be heard. How do we integrate them? I'm here also to say to you, as somebody who sees people therapeutically, if you have gut issues, you've probably turned off or at least squelched that intuitive perception. If you have heart issues, you have done the same. So understand that Qigong honors these energies as centers of intelligence, where we can attune to those vibrations, and it helps us to attune and process them. Instead of needing to do this using all our energy to distract ourselves with agendas, with mindlessness, with busyness. So I think this is largely part of the human condition. We don't have the opportunity until recently to be outside as much as we would like to be, but also as much as we need to be. When you talk to holistic healthcare practitioners, and I'm honored that there are so many of you in the audience today, one of the things they will tell you is go outside. It boosts the immunity. The sun feels good, fresh air, walking, or any kind of bilateral stimulation is important to achieving balance. The piece here that I want to talk about and then later show you a little bit of technique around is connecting and attuning to the vibration of Earth. We're all naturally wired to do that. But remember this, it's not as close to Earth as these other energy centers, as the soles of our feet, and it competes. So in Qigong, which essentially means energy practice, energy work, we have elements of forms, and some of them are quite intricate and beautiful. But they really are about the qi and the gongs. And the gongs are the processing. Gongs are the work and the effort, the deliberate, active aspect. And what is qi? I get that a lot. Qi is what you sense, that natural life force. We don't always realize, acknowledge, or are very present with it when it's there, but boy, do we know when it's not. So this life force is within all living things, all natural things. To be authentically in connection, that can be held in our awareness, and we can know. When we connect to other people, we feel good. When we connect to some other folks, maybe not so much. But it is connection. Don't doubt this simply because you can't see it. You truly can feel it. And guess what? Scientific method is fantastic. It proves and already has proven so much of which I'm talking about today. But do not let the brain doubt what it is that you sense and what it is that you feel. From today forward, allow yourself to open to that. Allow yourself to sense the flow within the body. If you've ever slept on an arm wrong or sat too long, we know what it's like to cut off by accident some blood flow to a limb. And when that comes rushing back, we feel it. When it's not there, we feel it. Think about what that's like in life. Just for a moment, think about what you accidentally may have created a tourniquet around, what you're shutting off the flow from. Because remember, we have great capacity. We can connect. We have great capacity. We can feel. Those vibrations we perceive, they're intelligence for us. They're information. And our awareness of them, the awareness of the lack of that which we desire or we perceive we are blocked from, that allows us to apply something that we call our free will in order to attune that vibration and create that capacity in our world. Just as if we were removing that tourniquet or that turning that knob that previously has been squelching off the symphony that's possible within our lives. If you ever doubt vibration, just think of what it is to be near drums or a gong on a train, in a car. If you ever doubt vibration, think of how we're set up as humans to perceive color and the spectrum of colors. Think of songs that you find yourself humming or whistling and the birds in the morning. These are all examples of vibration and examples of way the body is taking it in and processing it. There are a lot of fantastic audio pieces out there, and what they do is that they take the sounds of nature, waves crashing and birds singing, and the breeze in the trees, and they deliver them to you in your earbuds while you're on a plane or in a hotel room or stuck in the office, right? And the reason people access these is because it elevates their vibration. So what does that mean? Well, it reinforces vibration that is elemental to our health and our balance. Going back to Qigong. The Qi is that energy, that subtle life force that we can find everywhere in nature. Even when we get involved in the process of nature and create as humans, think about a tree and the energy of the tree. We're going to be talking about that today because it's spring here in the United States. And spring is all about that vertical, living plant energy that's available to us everywhere. But we know that we can cut down a tree. We can turn it into lumber and we can build a table. And that table is going to feel tactily and it's just going to vibrate differently than a table that is metal or plastic. All of these vibrations are what we can attune to, and we react to them differently. Some people love metal, some people love plastic, some people live in a lucite space. Other people, they really enjoy that, which we call earthy. Take another moment now to introspect and consider what you feel good with. What kind of vibrations are you most comfortable with? Look around the home and notice the colors. Notice the music you play or don't play, the textures. It's reflecting back to you what it is that you frequently attune to. It may or may not be feeding you. So when we process and work Qi, what we do is we step into an active relationship with this subtle flow. And this flow, as we know it, is contained within us. We can sense it with practice. We can sense it a lot more easily at this time in history than probably ever before because we have far fewer distractions. Remember, it's subtle. Don't worry if it's something that you can't feel right away. This is something that just through a tiny effort and intention, you can cultivate. You're probably familiar with the ubiquitous yin-yang symbol. This symbol represents the dark and the light. If you think about it, it's in perfectly equal proportions. A lot of times you hear people reference it as the feminine energy and the masculine energy. But for our conversation today, what I want you to do is think about it this way. There's receptive energy and there's assertive. And this has to do with you. Receptive energy and assertive. You can discover where you find yourself particularly receptive and perhaps other times assertive. Understand where you take action or where you are more likely to find yourself in stillness and attract. It has a lot to do with your essential nature. We're all different. We're all yin and yang in unique proportions. We're yin and yang in terms of function. If any of you have been to any practitioners of Chinese medicine, some of this may be familiar to you. I talk about it simply because the more we understand about the forces around us, and as above, so below, they are also contained within us and expressed through us. Understanding ourselves, whether our personality is highly nurturing, still and receptive, or maybe some would consider a little on the aggressive side or very active and assertive. I challenge you to realize that you're always both. However, we have to realize what proportions we show up. The issue that I find in daily life is many of us who are naturally nurturing, loving and caring, and in positions of responsibility, you find ourselves not turning that in towards self. And then we deplete. Qigong and similar practices are intended to offset that depletion so that you can actually correct it, so that you can actually achieve balance through this practice. Other people who are busy in the doing of life and maybe strongly, powerfully lead and create agendas for themselves and specific outcomes may find that they do not benefit from nurturing from others, right? No one actually perceives them as having needs that they on their own cannot fulfill. So if I were to say to you 2 categories of challenge for the modern person that I see most frequently, it's those. And beginning to understand where you're overly active to the detriment of being able to go to the yin side and receive is important. Understanding where you tend toward the nurturing piece externally and may not be taking action in asserting on behalf of self is also really important. So a flow practice, whenever it is done in a way that is most effective and fulfilling and healthful, it does not distract us from the challenges, the blocks, or the issues of flow. It recognizes them, and in that way does not create stasis, does not create a block. It allows us, hopefully, to be in our power with it, to integrate what I was talking about earlier, which is that feeling, the vibrations that we're perceiving, and not using mind or body or activity or substances, but mostly thought to distract ourselves from it, but to allow for the flow. The forms within Qigong honor elements that we see and can touch on earth, or at least perceive and feel. 5-element theory, or the Taoyin 5 form, honors the organs of the body that are most significant and impacted by this practice. Qigong, at its most rooted sense, allows us to connect through our awareness, through our feeling states, more strongly and powerfully from within to earth. And in that connectivity, we ourselves begin to vibrate, attuned to earth, the electromagnetic field of earth. And we know one thing, that we're lucky to be constant in our awareness if we choose. The earth holds us. The earth tethers us through gravity. If we align and attune to that vibration, we can align and attune to something that tethers us and holds us. And wouldn't we all benefit from something that's outside of this and this and this, ourselves, to help us remain grounded and remain stable? So I'm going to use the next part of our time together to take us through some exercises. I want to say to you that Qigong is safe and gentle for most anybody. It can be done standing. It can be done in a seated position. The forms can be adapted to your comfort and parameters of your abilities. Qigong can even be done lying down. That's because Qigong truly has so much to do with our intention and applying our awareness in a way that allows us to connect to that inner flow within us that relates to all of these forces outside. It allows us to connect to our singularity, but our beautiful connection to all that is. Qigong imitates nature. The names of the forms all acknowledge animals, fish, birds, landforms, wind, and water. I challenge my advanced students to feng shui their inner self. We all hear about feng shui and we start putting gold coins all over our house and lemons in a bowl and declutter our closets, which is great. We need to figure out the internal aspect of the feng shui too. And that's what Qigong naturally and organically begins to do. The only place we truly apply our effort is toward the intention of connecting to Earth and opening to the all that is around us. We can refer to this as the quantum field. We can refer to this as the ether. We can refer to this as the heavens, Mother Earth, Father Sky. We are acknowledging vibration, and we are acknowledging the pattern of flow, and we are in partnership with it. We can utilize forces around us. We do it all the time, but this time we're going to do it mindfully. I am going to ask you, if you wish to stand to join me, you can. If you wish to remain seated, that's okay too. All of this can be adapted. And it takes so little space. What I ask everyone to do typically before we begin Qigong is to get that flow started. So what I want you to do is wring your hands. This automatically settles the nervous system, which is why people wring their hands when they're upset, when they're nervous. Notice when you do that, you actually are engaging flow. Give yourself a nice, firm massage down the outside of your arms and up the inside. And I tell people, make your skin pink. Bring that blood and that lymph up to the surface and energize it. Now, take the knuckles of your hands and just begin to massage here in the upper lung area. I promised you a way by which you can boost your immunity. Not to get into too much detail, but the lungs, and I think this is easy for the Western mind to connect to, the lungs are associated with immunity. So the stronger the lungs, the greater the flow of qi or energy, blood and lymph, energy through them, the greater your capacity to be resilient. You boost your immunity by working on this. We're going to make a soft fist, and now we're going to thump the thymus right here. And again, so it produces a little bit of color on the surface of the skin. The thymus again supports your immunity. And you are generating flow toward it. You're signaling this set of intelligences that you wish it to flow, that qi you desire to move. You can go up the inside of the legs, again with a slight pressure, massaging, and down the outside. And then you can rake upward from your feet with your fingers. And again, do this to comfort. And using cupped hands right around this middle section, waking it up firmly but gently. And now beating it like you would a little tom-tom. Waking up those organs by twisting side to side. Good. Everyone I see, excellent. Now take the fingertips. Believe it or not, we forget this. You want to stimulate flow upward where, because of the way we are physically formed, there are narrowing or constricted areas of flow. So we begin to do this through the throat, the chin, across the nose and cheeks. And I often tell people, and they say, how long? I say, until almost it seems ridiculous. Because it lets you understand that you are making a connection. And now you've got really rosy cheeks. Go up to the scalp and down to the back of the cervical vertebrae, and again to the throat, up to the head, to that scalp. And now give yourself really good, firm tugs on the ears. Take a deep breath and feel yourself. I bet you feel a lot different than you did just a few minutes ago. You can do this every day. Stimulate that flow. What you feel may be a little tingly, or it may feel a little more awake. You now are sensing your chi. It's as simple as that. You have connected, therefore you have a way to relate to your flow. You have a way to relate and now step into your power with your feeling state. So, as we do this, we're going to learn a little bit about grounding from the soles of your feet, and if you're seated, from your tailbone. I want you to imagine yourself sinking down into earth. And when we're standing or when we're seated, we can take the palms of our hands and actually, like a plunger, we can begin to push and visualize that energy coming through the legs, down the feet, into earth. And just imagine earth is drawing us down with her gravity. Bend the knees slightly, keep the feet about shoulder width apart right now for this exercise. And what we're going to do is we're going to do that again. Push that energy through the legs, down through the feet. Now use what we call sword fingers, the index and middle finger, and imagine your Pokemon and you're shooting this chi, this lightning energy, down through your legs, through the top, the insteps of the feet, and you're riveting yourself in through the floorboards into earth. And just notice what that feels like. Take the thumbs and index fingers and place them on either side of the hips. Allow the palms to be parallel with earth. And again, solidify that connection, soften into it, and allow the gravitational pull of earth, which is all around us, to tether us, to draw us down. Now, palms down, pull up this resistant gravity. Let's go against gravity and pull up. Inhale. Turn the wrists. Exhale and pull in that light of the cosmos. Imagine the crown of the head opening and taking in as you guide with your hands in front of you, pulling it through the head, through the neck, the lungs, the heart, the organs, and down through the feet, pulling it up again, connecting to the heavens, and pulling them down. You're directing traffic. You are programming your energy within, the energy that surrounds the body, the aura, and the forces around you that are always at your disposal. There is always energy that you can bring in through crown. And if we're not in hyperactive states of mind, we can receive it. So inhale into lung, exhale. Remind yourself that you're connecting either through your tailbone or the soles of your feet, and exhale. Imagine that you're gathering energy into the lung And you're exhaling, you're actually distributing energy through this field around the body the Chinese call Wei Qi. Inhaling it and then willing it to come out, open and expand. You're decluttering and you're increasing the size of your energy field. You're enhancing the flow to lung, and therefore you are improving your immunity exponentially. Remaining grounded allows us to tether that energy. It allows us to feel strong. It allows us to connect with forces that actually are here to feed us, support us, and protect us. That really is the power of Qigong. We are in the flow, not against it. We are acknowledging our place in it, and we are connecting to Earth, and we are connecting to the cosmos, the ancients called the heavens above. And when we do that, we create a very strong vertical, like a lightning rod in the extreme, like a ground to an electric circuit. We become that. Therefore, we become an attractor. We become a magnet. And the more you practice connecting to Earth, even if you're indoors like most of you are today, you are imagining that soil, that grass. You are now in alignment. You are connecting these two zones of energy, Earth, yin, receptive and attractive, and yang. Recognizing from 6 directions, we are going to breathe. Inhale, filling the torso, outward, and the back, and exhale, coming together. North and south, we expand and contract with the pulse of the earth. East and west, north and south. Inhale, expand the torso. Exhale, the natural contraction. Inhale, connect to earth and sky. Exhale, allow it to contract. Allow the arms to float out with the inhale. Out with the inhale. And downward and back. And simply by intending this and moving the arms to guide us, the intelligences within the body will catch on. You're giving them a program. And truly, these intelligences thrive on programming. This allows us to ground. In this 6 direction breath, we're going to move that into the torso, forward and back, left and right, earth and sky. Move it now into the lungs, the left lung, forward and back. Breathe into that lung, side to side, down and back. The right lung, up and down, left and right, expanded, forward and back. Now both lungs and the torso, breathing down and up. Left to right, forward and back, down and up, left and right, forward and back. Allow the body to expand with the breath, inhaling in all 4 directions on the horizontal axis and then vertically. As we continue to do this, realize that the power of this, relaxing that vagus nerve, allowing the nervous system to come to a place of calm, is achieved because we've placed ourselves in the center of our reality. This is what it is to be centered. We are now the traffic cop with these forces, and we are inviting them for their power in to energize us and to allow us to benefit. By standing grounded, we tether these forces. We create a much stronger Wei Qi, a much stronger field of resistance and resilience, immunity. But I focus on the word resilience. We're not expending Qi. We're not wasting energy building a wall or a plate or any field of resistance that pushes back and can become stasis. We're allowing the flow like a waterfall that allows forces that benefit us to come through and in, and forces that are challenging increasingly to glance off, to roll away. That is resilience. It's a very physical, metaphysical thing. So connecting to earth, inhale, turning the wrists, bring down the heavens. I hope you enjoyed our time together today. I'm Susan Amorose. Please follow up with me. You'll be receiving an email. If I don't hear from you, I really hope that you take a little bit of what we did today with you. It was life-changing for me, a healing practice, a calming and centering practice that I love to share with others. Never be fooled by its simplicity. There is much power for you. There is much power in these simple practices of connecting to the force that is you and connecting to all of the forces around you, grounding and flowing with them and allowing it to come to you. For those of you who struggle with receiving, and through you, and not just from you. That said, I thank you on behalf of Green Heiress Holistic Health, the Green Heiress online studio. And I hope you will join us next Wednesday at 11 a.m. and tell your friends for Dr. Kristen Carlin, who will be showing us ways to achieve some of our physical goals, offset stress, improve our lives ergonomically in every other way. And I hope that I get to come back and see you really soon. So thank you, everybody.